previous New York AG, who was forced to retire in disgrace, made its stated mission to use this matter to advance his own political gain. And the current acting New York AG has stated that battling the White House is the most important job she's ever done. That sounds outrageously biased and certainly problematic and very concerning.
The White House is on the defense after the state of New York sued U.S. President Donald Trump and his family for misusing charitable funds. The Trump Foundation is a private non-profit organization run by the president's eldest kids, Ivanka, Trump Jr. and Eric. Non-profits don't pay any taxes as long as they serve the public good. But New York's Attorney General says the Trumps have been using donations for personal use. If true, this would make the president guilty of breaking tax and campaign finance laws. Well, joining me now to discuss this from San Diego is former U.S. Deputy Assistant Attorney General Harry Litman. And in Singapore, we have Ross Feingold. He's the former chairman of Republicans Abroad in Asia. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Harry Litman, let me start with you. Do you think the New York Attorney General has a solid case against the Trumps?
As best I can tell, she does. I've read the complaint. Of course, they're just allegations, but they were based on reporting that we've been hearing for a couple years, and they're it's very consistent with the public reporting about kind of stunning abuses by the supposed nonprofit foundation, which was run just as a kind of personal piggy bank for Trump, and including the use of expenditures that were basically for purposes of the campaign. Notwithstanding what you heard at the top from the White House press secretary, the acting AG is a highly respected career prosecutor, is not a politician, is not running for office, and has a very strong reputation of going by the merits.
Okay, so Ross, 2-year-long investigation. They're looking at campaign finance law violations, self-dealing, illegal coordination with the presidential campaign, basically taking good money, well-intentioned money that was supposed to go for charity and using it for personal gain. Don't you think it's in everybody's interest for Trump to take this seriously and not to tweet about it saying these are sleazy New York Democrats who are after me, and maybe just to, be a bit transparent here, and if it's proven true, to do something about it?
Well, there's no doubt that these are serious allegations. However, the reality is the dollar amounts we're talking about here are quite modest, especially in the scheme of a large charitable organization connected to high net worth individuals. There may be some infractions here, but some of the language that Mr. Litman is using or the media is using is a bit over dramatic. At best, these are technical violations. There's a key point here.
Ross, if I gave $10,000, certainly, if I gave $10,000 to Trump's foundation, and I heard that money, $10,000, was used for a personal portrait of his at one of his golf courses, you're going to tell me that's just a minor infraction. We're sorry your 10 grand went to a painting.
Well, the problem with what you just said, by way of example, it doesn't apply to the fact pattern with the Trump Foundation. Almost all of the money that was dispersed by this foundation was Trump family money. There's very, very few cases where money from outside of the Trump family was given to the foundation and then used for charitable donations. In most cases, any money that was dispersed by this Trump Foundation was Trump family money. And in most cases, the money that they dispersed, some could say it was large, some could say it was surprisingly small given the size of the Trump family assets. Regardless, almost all of the disbursements from this foundation did go to charitable causes. They were certainly not soliciting money from vast members of the public. So your example might apply to people who actually use foundations as a platform to commit theft. But that certainly is not the case here. The key point is it was Trump family money that they dispersed through this platform. There may be issues where their reporting or their adherence to corporate governance could have been better. They could have had board meetings more often, as some commentators have pointed out. But the idea that they were stealing money from the public or from donors is frankly preposterous.
Okay, so Harry, your idea that this was a personal piggy bank for the Trump family is preposterous.
Yeah. Right. So I think we're reading completely different complaints. I just don't know what Russ is talking about. The complaint lays out clearly. First of all, there's about zero Trump family money, in keeping with the genius of Donald Trump. Almost all the money that came in went from other sources, not from them. And as the AG alleged, almost all the money going out, in fact, was for improper purposes. There's nothing isolated or anecdotal about this. There are some particularly lurid scenarios, like the use for his personal portrait, but there's also all kinds of money for campaigns, to settle private lawsuits. It's the vast pattern of the entire foundation over many years. I think he's just reading a completely different complaint. As for the management, yeah, that is an important point. That's how the Trump children get involved. They were directors, and it's clear from the investigation they didn't even know it. There was no meeting, no oversight at all. Basically, all that would happen is whenever Trump wanted an expenditure for any reasons, campaign, self-glorification, whatever, he would just say, use this this foundation, which again, one of the problems here is it's not simply that they were misusing the money, but it's the lying about it, the big Trump theme. This is money that's supposed to go specifically for the public good, and instead it's going specifically for the lifestyles of the rich and famous, kind of extravagance that Ross, Trump loves.
Okay, so Ross, for the moment you think if anything is wrong, it might be an infraction, a minor infraction, or maybe they need a new bookkeeper. What amount of evidence would you need in order for you to say, okay, hands up, something is a little bit dodgy here?
Well, the evidence is not the complaint. The key evidence here are the tax filings of the Trump Foundation for the years in question, 2014, 2015, and 2016. So despite what Mr. Lippman said, the tax filings clearly indicate that donations were made to very worthy charities. Again, it's been a consistent criticism.
That's the whole point.
There's been a consistent criticism that the contribution sizes might have been modest, given the size of the Trump family wealth. That's probably for other people to judge. It's not a crime to not donate lots of money. But the tax filings are very clear. In fact, and frankly, they're dispositive that almost all of the money was given away to charities. It's listed right there in the tax filing. So that's why we see the reaction from the White House spokeswoman that there's a lot of politics here.
Understood.
And on the point of politics, if this is the best the Democrats can come up with, they're not going to win back the House.
Okay, so let me ask Harry, because we're running out of time here. So for those who see it as a part of the same basket of issues, they look at the Mueller investigation, they look at calls for impeachment, they see this at yet another attempt at taking more bricks off the wall of the Trump presidency by the Democrats for political purposes. It has nothing to do with justice or fraud or any of that. Your response is what?
Yeah, my response is there are laws here. He's broken them. The Attorney General of the state of New York has an exhaustive investigation, and it's not the tax records, which are falsified, we believe, or she believes, but rather their actual chapter and verse. There's this assumption that all law enforcement is political is one of the terrible, toxic legacies of the Trump era. In fact, these are just straightforward violations of the law.
Okay, and Trump has said he won't settle, so this could be an interesting battle ahead. We'll be watching closely. Harry Littman and Ross Feingold. Yeah. Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. If he settles, we'll invite you back on the program. But yeah, thanks for joining us. I got to move on.
All right.
Good to have you on the show.